art classes for us in Madhava group.
Okay. Thanks, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for joining in.
Thanks for so many good classes, Mataji. It's like my daughter was attending the summer class. Normally, I used to attend only the YouTube recorded video. She was insistent that I attend the class rather than recorded video. She's so impressed. Because of her only, I'm joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, because of kids only, right? Kids know more than us. They push us more into Krishna consciousness. Very bold.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, we will start, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha. Today we are doing Isopanishad. We are continuing the reading of book Isopanishad. The verse number today is 14 and 15. Her Grace Preethivilasini Mataji is going to teach us today. Thank you, Mataji, for your valuable time and association. Please take over the call. Hare Krishna. Mataji, unmute yourself, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, and thank you all so much for joining us today. So as Mataji said, we are continuing our study of Sri Isopanishad, and we are at the fag end of Isopanishad. We'll be finishing it next week. So we are kind of covering 15 and 16 today. 17 and 18 will be covered next week, and that will be our last session on Sri Isopanishad. So thank you all so much for joining again, and let's continue with our series. Invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamne. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Paschayate Shatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before we get started with the verses for today, we will be summarizing our previous session. So in our previous session, we covered the previous 3 verses, which is up till 14. So we covered 12, 13, 14 in our previous session. And in our previous session, we saw the definition of Samghurti and Samghurti. So Samghurti means one who's completely independent and the source of everything. I mean, Samghurti means one who's completely independent and the source of everything. And that is obviously the Supreme Absolute Truth. Samghurti are the dependent jivas and the demigods. So we are all Samghurti. And then we covered some misconceptions related to the absolute truth. Generally, what people think the absolute truth is, there's always a confusion who the absolute truth is, right? So logically, we all can understand there is one God. But then when we read so many Vedic literatures and when we come from different family backgrounds, we get confused and we have no idea of the concept of the Lord. And we also discussed the problem with pseudo-religionists. Who are pseudo-religionists, what they pose themselves to be, and what is the problem with them. And then after we looked at that verse, we went on to the next one, the 13th verse, which is the results of Samghurti and Samghurti worship. So different paths obviously lead us to different destinations. We saw the analogy of boarding a train. So if you take a train and you desire to go to Delhi, and I mean, you have to take the right train that goes to Delhi. You cannot board a train that goes to Bangalore and expect yourself to go to Delhi. So similarly, if you take the path of demigod worship, obviously you're going to reach the planet of the demigod. You don't expect to get liberation. So like that, we discussed how different paths have different destinations. It's not a fact that all paths have the same destination. So that's a commonly known proverb, but then in reality, all paths will not lead you to the same destination. And one must clearly understand who the absolute truth is. And yes, Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. And how do we attain devotion to him? By the practice of chanting and hearing. So this was the summary of the 13th verse. And then we also saw the 14th verse in our previous session. That is, knowing Sambhuti and Asambhuti's importance. So one may think that, oh, why should I know something that is temporary? Why should I know Asambhuti? Why should I know the demigods? Why should I know about this material universe? What is the need? It is important because you're here. You should know what is there here. Otherwise, you should know what is there here and you should understand that this place is temporary. Otherwise, you will take this place too seriously. So that is the point. And then we understood that real life is actually eternal life back in the spiritual world. And then finally, the verse ended with driving home the point that one must take bhakti very seriously without any compromise. And that is the only way you actually go to the spiritual world, which is an eternal life. So this was 12, 13, and 14. So today we are going to dive into 15 and 16. So let's see verse number 15. Okay. So actually we kind of gave an introduction to verse number 15 in our previous session itself. Because we were talking about how the identity of the Supreme Lord is personal. There is a lot of confusion when we were talking about pseudo-religionists. We touched upon this point, telling that there is a lot of confusion that actually God is impersonal. And then we also mentioned in our previous session that there is a prayer in the Isopanishad. The Isopanishad very clearly clarifies that actually the Lord is very, very personal. And there is a request sent to the Lord, oh Lord, please reveal yourself. So let's look at this request in this verse. This is an appeal to the Supreme Lord. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukam tattvam pushan apavrano satya dharmaya drishyate. O Lord, O Supreme Truth, your face is covered by a golden effulgence. O Sustainer, Maintainer, and Nourisher of all, kindly uncover this face and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So this is the request that we are sending to the Supreme Lord. As I mentioned in our previous session, we spoke about this, that in Isopanishad, because in the previous verses you would see that when we talk about Sambhuti and Asambhuti, we were telling a person who worships Sambhuti or the absolute truth actually goes to a even more hellish destination. And then we were trying to explain that what it actually means is that in that particular verse, Samghurti meant the impersonal feature of the Lord. So, and I was also mentioning that it is important to read Isopanishad in continuation. You just cannot take out one particular phrase of the verse and then take it away and then try to interpret it. You should see it in totality. That's what we discussed. So you see in this verse, it's very, very clearly said that actually there is a request, because there is this impersonal effulgence and there is so much confusion that the impersonal is the absolute truth. There is a request made in the Isopanishad itself to the Supreme Lord or Supreme Truth. You have a face, okay? You're personal, but your face is covered by your golden effulgence. Hiranyamaya Patrena. So this is the actual understanding of the Isopanishad verse. And who's the Supreme Lord? He's the sustainer, maintainer, and nourisher of all. So he's a very personal, he's such a relatable personality because he's taking care of you. Just like at home, you have parents who are taking care of you, you have your spouse who's taking care of you. So they are sustaining, in one sense, of course, they are secondary maintainers and secondary sustainers, because ultimately the Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth, is the sustainer, maintainer, and nourisher of everyone. But still, secondary, or, what we perceive as our maintainer is probably someone at home. But unless that person is real, you cannot expect an effulgence to take care of you. You cannot expect some some light to take care of you. You need a person, right? So like that, the Supreme Absolute Truth is just not some light or some concept or something like that. He is actually a person. He sustains, he maintains, and he nourishes everyone. So now what are we requesting? That Supreme Lord, we're telling him, please uncover and show us your face. We want to see your face and exhibit yourself. And we are not telling that you just exhibit yourself to everyone, obviously, right? Why would the Lord want to exhibit himself to a person who doesn't want to see the Lord? So very clearly the verse says, oh, exhibit yourself to your pure devotee, someone who's very sincere, someone who really wants to see you. Please exhibit yourself. Okay. So now when we actually look at this verse, there is something very nicely given inside this verse, which is kind of difficult to figure out if you just read the translation. But if you delve, if you just meditate on this translation a bit, you can understand that when this person is praying, oh, Hiranyamaya Patrena, oh, remove this effulgence, oh, Supreme Lord, we are asking him to uncover his face, right? He cannot uncover the face. We cannot do that. He has to uncover his face. So there is a request that is being made that if you want to see the Lord, actually the Lord's mercy should be there. You can independently do all your efforts to look at the Lord. We can do Shravanam, we can do Kirtanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasan, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. You can do anything and everything. But just by your own endeavors, will the Lord reveal himself to you? No. You have to make a fervent appeal. You have to request him. And by his mercy, if he desires, he will reveal himself to us. It's very important, interesting that this is actually a very interesting point that just by our own efforts, we are not going too far. It's ultimately, if we really have to know Krishna, it is possible only if he gives us mercy. Of course, endeavors are important. Just like in the Damodar Leela, we learn there are two fingers, right? When Krishna was tied to the mortar, he was always two fingers short. The rope was just always two fingers short. And then we discussed what the Acharyas were telling us. The Acharyas tell us that the two fingers represent one's endeavor and the mercy of the Lord. We say that, yes, we have to perform endeavor. But why are we performing that endeavor? We are performing endeavor to attract the Lord. okay, to show our affection to the Lord. And when the Lord desires to give his mercy, that is when actually we are benefited. So here it is very clearly mentioned that one cannot directly see the Lord. If you think, oh, I have good vision, or I have good memory power, I can, I know all the Shastras, and I know the Bhagavatam upside down, that doesn't make the Lord obligated to reveal himself to you. No, if the Lord desires to show mercy to a sincere devotee, then he will reveal himself to you. So by our own independent efforts, nothing is possible. So that is sort of hidden in this verse, because you see the request is being made, please reveal yourself, right? So it is the Lord's mercy, by the Lord's mercy, that he is revealing himself to us. The second point that we understand from this verse is that actually the jiva is insignificant, right? By our own independent endeavor, we are not able to do anything. We are very, very insignificant, but the Lord is so great. So if the jiva is equal to the Lord, then where is the need for our jiva to pray, oh, reveal yourself? If we think we are so great, as good as God, then we can just go and meet him face to face. It's not a big deal. We don't have to make a request, right? Because we are insignificant parts and parcels, we are taking a lower position, and we are making a very, very sincere request to the Lord. Okay, so we spoke about the Lord is covered by his dazzling effulgence. Now, what is this dazzling effulgence? This Brahma Jyoti, as we talk, it is actually Krishna's personal effulgence of his personal form. Now, in different parts of scripture, you will find different descriptions of what exactly this light is. Some places it will say, it says that it is emanating from the tips of the toenail of the Lord. So that is true, yes. Because after all, the toenail of the Lord is also a part of his body. Some places it says, oh, it is coming from his entire body. In some places you will hear, oh, it is the effulgence of all the spiritual planets. Yes, all of them are right. Ultimately, the source is Krishna. Okay. So from his personal form only, everything is coming. All this light, everything that is there in this universe is coming from that one original person. This is what we saw in the previous session as well, when we discussed Samghurti and Assam. So that is the Brahma Jyoti. It is the effulgence of the Lord. So just like you have sun and sunshine, we cannot say sunshine is actually is all in all. It doesn't have a source. Sunshine is coming from the sun, right? So then the sun is compared to the person, while the sunshine is compared to the Brahma Jyoti. This place, Brahma Jyoti, many jnanis, they desire to go to this place. It is actually not a bad place in one sense, but for devotees, it's not a good place. But anyway, generally, it is said that it is a position of ultimate happiness. Okay? There is, it is a place of eternity, pretty much. Sat feature that is prominent there. It's a place of eternity. You exist there. Okay, but though it is such a great, nice, greatly described in many scriptures, devotees generally don't like to go there. The reason is because there is no personal association. Devotees find it worse than hell to actually go to such a place. That's why in the previous verse, in our previous class, we saw if a person is aspiring just to go to Brahma Jyoti, he's going to a position that is worse than hell, right? That is what the verse said. So now slowly the secret is it's like a puzzle. So all the pieces of puzzle is coming together, and the different secrets are getting unraveled. What else is special about the Brahma Jyoti? Millions and millions of universes with unlimited planets are situated in the corner of the Brahma Jyoti. So, the spiritual world, right? We talk about the different planets. They are all present around the Brahma Jyoti, like you see in this picture. It's a nice picture to understand. So this is the material world emanating from the bodily pores of Mahavishnu. Here is the spiritual effulgence, and you see planets are here. So like that, this Brahma Jyoti is a place, or rather it is where actually the spiritual planets are located. But actually our desire is not to go just to that light. We want to enter that planet, and we want to associate with the Lord's personal form. So it's a place completely free from material contamination. It is supposed to be the light of all lights. Meaning, here we have the sun, that is the source of all light in this universe. So when we get sunshine, we get light, and the source of all light is supposed to be the sun within this universe. But where is the sun getting its light? Of course, we talk in science, hydrogen and helium and all that. All that is nice. But scripturally, it is mentioned that even the source of the sun is actually from the Brahma Jyoti. And where is the Brahma Jyoti coming from? From the effulgence of the Lord. So Krishna is the source of the Brahma Jyoti, and Brahma Jyoti is the source of the effulgence of the sun and all the other luminaries. So like this, it is the light of all lights. And there in the Brahma Jyoti, there is no need for another sun, because after all, sun is insignificant when compared to Brahma Jyoti. So if we say that in the spiritual world, you need a sun, it's like, it doesn't make any sense, because the spiritual planets are self-effulgent. Bhagavad Gita also talks about it. But however, beyond this Brahma Jyoti, you have other features of the Lord. One feature we have constantly been talking about is the Bhagavan feature, the personal form of the Lord. And there is another feature called as the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So now this Bhagavan is a person in the spiritual world. We all desire to go to that spiritual world, we have understood. Who is this Paramatma? Paramatma is the one who's constantly serving us by always staying with us. So whether we take the body of a human being, or we take the body of a mosquito, or we take the body of a cheetah, or a cockroach, whatever it may be, or a snail, or anything, or an earthworm, whichever body we may take, there is one person who loves to be with us. Who loves to be with cockroaches? Definitely not me. But Krishna is so merciful, so merciful. He's there within everybody. He's there with everybody all the time, constantly, because his only desire is, won't this Jiva look at me and won't he come back to me? So this Lord is very, very compassionate. He's not only present up in the spiritual world somewhere, but he's also present within your heart. He's there with you constantly all the time. And the supreme absolute truth, whether he's there with you in your, even when he's with you in such an abominable body, still he's constantly blissful. He's a personification of all bliss. And whenever Krishna comes to this world, so Krishna, he can stay in the spiritual world. His effulgence can just emanate, and it can pervade everything. He can stay with us as Paramatma. He can also come in personal forms from time to time. He can take incarnations. Wherever he is, wherever he goes, he's always blissful. Even it is explained that when he was in Vrindavan, he met so many demons and he had to kill so many demons. So at that time, was he distressed? No. He had the slightest of any distress. He enjoyed everything like a child playing with toys. So these demons were like little toys that were provided by Kamsa, his uncle. So he enjoyed playing with these toys. So he was always blissful. For him, everything, going to the forest, fighting with these demons, everything was like pleasure excursions. And because he was enjoying so much, everyone around him was also enjoying so much. He was giving pleasure to everyone. Just like when you're around a person who's constantly tense, it rubs on to you, right? You also get very tense. But if you're around a person who's constantly happy and making jokes and talking nice things, obviously that mood also rubs on to you. So like that, wherever Krishna was very, very blissful, and everyone around him was also blissful when he was personally present in Vrindavan. You might have a question. Oh, then he's blissful even as the Paramatma, right? Why am I not blissful? Yeah, that is because we have not turned towards him. Upanishads, they talk about two birds on a tree. So one bird is waiting for the other one to turn towards him. The minute the one who's eating the fruits, okay? There are two birds, one is not eating fruits, the other is eating fruits. Fruits means the things of this material world. We are constantly engaged in this material world. The minute we turn to Krishna, what happens? Krishna takes over. Then you're constantly in bliss. You become Paramatma realized, okay? Anyway, so here is the most common analogy that is given by Srila Prabhupada. The two analogies you would find in Srila Prabhupada's books. One is the analogy of the sun. We did touch upon it. The sun, sunshine and the sun disk. So the sunshine is compared to the Brahma Jyoti. The sun disk is compared to Paramatma, and the sun planet itself, or the sun, what do you call it? Because in today's world, if I say planet, it will become a problem with youngsters. So the object in the sky, okay? So the sun itself, is compared to Bhagavan. So if you go, see, when you see sunshine, you are seeing a remote aspect of the sun. You're understanding sun to an extent. But when you go further, just imagine you have the capability of taking a spaceship and you're going very close to the sun and the sun is not scorching you. Just imagine, just an imaginary situation. You see the disk of the sun. There is so much more information about the sun. But then imagine you have the capability of entering the sun itself. Then you would see much more happening within the sun. So like that, the Bhagavan feature has much more personal attributes as compared to the Paramatma feature, or as compared to the Brahman feature, which is compared to the sunshine. The sun disk is compared to the Paramatma, and the sun itself is compared to Bhagavan. This is a very famous analogy Prabhupada gives. Famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yat jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaneti shakti. So the supreme absolute truth, the non-dual substance, is known as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. All are the same, but he's seen in three different features. Okay. Another analogy Srila Prabhupada gives is that of a train. Very famous in all of Prabhupada's classes. You must have heard this analogy. So when you are waiting for the train in the train station, you see the train from a distance. First, what do you see? You see a bright light. Okay. You understand that there is something approaching. But do you have full clarity of how exactly the train looks? No. You have some understanding, oh, this should be the train. Then the train comes near you. Then you start seeing the engine, the driver, the engine. Then you have a better understanding. Okay, there is a train with an engine. And then you see the different bogies, okay, where all the passengers are sitting. Now you have a complete understanding of the train. So like that, the initial light that you see is compared to the Brahma Jyoti, and then the framework of the train, the engine and the rest of the framework is compared to the Paramatma understanding. And finally, the actual inside things that you can see the passenger, he's eating idli, he's eating dosa, all that, they are chatting, and there is a fan, there is some light, all these different features. These windows have grills, all these different features is like understanding the Bhagavan feature of the Lord. Okay. We covered this one example in our previous class. The first example that you see is the incomplete understanding of the Supreme Lord. There were three rishis, Ekta, Dvita, and Trita. We saw their story that they actually went to the shores of the Milk Ocean and they wanted to see the Lord, but all that they saw was light. The Lord was not ready to reveal himself. Now, what is the appeal that we are making in this shloka? Oh Lord, please reveal yourself to me, right? So at that time, the Lord was not ready to reveal himself. Why? Because they didn't have devotion. They didn't have bhakti. This is what we saw in our previous session. There is another example of the situation of just having some vague understanding, that of Atri Muni. Okay, the story of Atri is also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Atri Anasuya. Initially, Atri and Anasuya, Atri Maharishi, he made many austerities to see the Lord, to have the Lord, to have a son like the Lord. He didn't want the Lord as a son. He wanted to have a child like the Lord. And now he didn't have so much clarity of who the Supreme Lord was. Now, this is a big problem. This is how we started the class. We started the class with a problem statement. Most people don't have a clarity of who is God. There is so much misunderstanding. We consider the Brahma Jyoti to be everything. But here is a devotee who's making a request. Please reveal yourself, right? So here's the story of Atri. Prabhupada writes, this is directly from the words of Prabhupada because I wanted everyone to read what Prabhupada says. It appears that the great sage Atri Muni had no specific idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, he must be conversant with the Vedic information that there is a Supreme Lord who is the ultimate controller of the universe and who has created everything, but he didn't have clarity. So what happened? Three of them came, Brahma, Mahesh, and Vishnu. All the three of them came and became the son of Atri Maharshi. So this is one story that shows that, actually the Supreme Lord, you should have clarity, you should understand who the Supreme Lord is. And you should know that he is the source of everything. He's the source of the Brahma Jyoti. He's also the source of all the demigods. And he's the source of other features as well. He's the source of as we discussed, the Brahma Jyoti, he's also the source of Paramatma. Another story is that of Gopakumar, okay, very famous character. The kids' camp, they learned the entire story of Brihad Bhagavatamrita within a span of 2 months. That's a great achievement. So in that story, at one point, Gopakumar, he goes to a place called as Mahakala Dham. Now this Mahakala Dham, it's a place where where the impersonalists get liberated. There they do not have a concept of the personal feature of the Lord. So most people, they are in meditation and the maximum darshan they get is a bright light. Okay, that's the darshan they're getting. But then here was Gopakumar, who was actually a devotee and he was stuck there. He just sought out on a journey and he went to different places and he also explored Mahakala Dham. And there, because his desire was so intense that he really wanted to see the personal form of the Lord, Mahakala, the Supreme, the Lord who's present there, he actually reveals his form from time to time. He doesn't permanently reveal his form, he just gives him glimpses. So there also it is proved that actually though the Lord didn't continuously reveal his form, because that is not the mood of that Dham. That Dham, the Lord is not supposed to reveal his form. He's supposed to be a bright light. But still, for the sake of his devotee, he would give him glimpses of his actual form. So it's a nice story. You should all read Brihad Bhagavatamrita and the journey of Gopakumar, what all he saw in different planetary systems. That's why in the previous verse also, it says, Isopanishad clearly says, you should understand Samghurti, you should understand Assambhuti also. Only then you will actually make progress. Because if we don't understand this material world clearly, we'll be stuck here, right? So in the case of Gopakumar, he went through a lot. He really went through every loka and he understood what was there so that he could not desire to go there. The idea of being in every loka and Gopakumar's story is that, so that he teaches us by example, don't waste your time. Don't keep going to every loka. It's time for you to go to the highest destination. And he tells you what is there in every loka. And after you read all that, you're like, no, I don't want to go there. I just want to go to the best place, the supreme abode, outside this material creation. So these are some stories that help us understand, yes, mistakes are there. And we should really take the scriptures seriously. We have such a nice, wonderful line of acharyas who has given us everything in a golden platter. So we just have to consume it instead of sitting and experimenting. Okay. Here is how Krishna is actually the source of everything. Okay, this Krishna whom we are talking about, the supreme absolute truth, we say that he's got a form, he's very beautiful. Not only has he got a form, he's very beautiful, he's very personal, but it's so beautiful that the supreme absolute truth in the Upanishads, he's described as Rasovaisaha. Okay, he's the abode of all rasas. How nice. See, that Supreme Lord, he has a personal relationship with multitude jivas. How many jivas are there? There's no number, right? Unlimited jivas. And he has different loving relationships, 5 primary rasas, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya rasa. So he's got and in that also there are many subdivisions, 11 secondary rasas, and then there are different unique relationships. So like this, that Supreme One Lord, he's got unique relationship with every jiva. Every jiva is very precious to the Lord. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about this example of Sutre Manigana Eva. He gives this example of a pearl necklace. He says that I am like the string that actually holds this entire pearl necklace. If you look at a pearl necklace, every pearl is very unique, at least in those days. Nowadays, we have cultured pearls, right? Everything looks same. But if you really get original pearls, every pearl will look unique, and you try to string a thread through that thread is holding each of these pearls, but each of these pearls are unique. Every single pearl that is unique. Some may be twisted, some may be round, some may be yellowish, some may be whitish, some may be slightly purplish, whatever. Each of these pearls are very special. They have a unique spot, and they have a unique connection to the thread, right? So like that, each and of us jivas are compared to these pearls, just like how these pearls have a unique spot and they have a constant touch with the Lord. Similarly, all of us, we all are all special to the Lord, and the Lord has a continuous relationship with us. He can give us his full attention without division. That is possible only by the Supreme Lord. And we discussed this point that he's the original, and also he just because he's the original, he's sitting far away. He doesn't leave us. He's constantly giving us maintenance. He's called as Pushan. He's giving us maintenance constantly. The verse says, "You are our maintainer." How is he maintaining us? As Paramatma. Just like sometimes a child may like to go on a bicycle. So there are some kids on the call. Or you just think of yourselves too, when you were kids, the first time you rode a bicycle, how was it? You took the cycle, and your father, he would hold in India, the bicycles, they would have a carrier at the back, a small thing, a small metal strip that would hold bags and other things. So your father would hold that carrier and run behind you so that you don't fall. Then after a few days, what happens? You start becoming independent. So just like that, this Father, the Supreme Absolute Truth, he doesn't leave us in the material world. Actually, he doesn't say, "Oh, go fall down and do whatever you want." No, he comes as the Paramatma, holding that carrier, running with us. So that is how the Supreme Lord is. And this Supreme Lord is considered as the principal Atma, therefore he is called as Paramatma. Meaning we are Atmas, but he's the principal. He's the principal Atma. And the Supreme Lord, he is not only Paramatma in our heart. In every universe, in every Brahmanda, there is one Paramatma, who's the Kshirodakashai Vishnu. And the collective of all the universes, there are so many universes coming from the body of Mahavishnu, right? So collective Paramatma is present, who's the Karanodakashai Vishnu. Sorry, the Paramatma of every universe is the Garbhodakashai Vishnu. The Paramatma in our heart is the Kshirodakashai Vishnu, and the collective universe is Paramatma is the Karanodakashai Vishnu. So like that, he's present in 3 different forms just for our sake. He's maintaining us on a personal level, he's maintaining the universe at a universal level, and he's maintaining everyone even beyond the universal level. So that is how this Supreme Lord is. And beyond this is where the effulgence is. And beyond that, you have to advance even more to actually go and attain that person whom we are requesting. Okay. So we saw about Brahmajyoti, and we saw that only devotional service is the path to Bhagavan realization. See, jnanis, yogis, bhaktas, so many different kinds of practitioners are there. The jnanis, they are the ones who want to go to the Brahmajyoti. Paramatmas, the yogis, they want to realize Paramatma and being blessed in that realization. Whereas the devotees, through the process of bhakti, through the process of devotional service, these are the ones who are making the request. They are telling, oh, we don't want this Brahma Jyoti, we don't want Paramatma realization. They're all nice. I mean, it's all features of the Lord, but we don't want that. We are only interested in seeing you, your personal form. So this is a nice chart of the comparative analysis of the three features of the Lord. Okay. So that is how verse number 15 was analyzed. And before I proceed to verse number 16, I just wanted to make a quick announcement that these slides were made by one little boy from our kids group. He's done an amazing job because it's all self-explanatory and I can just read through the slides and explain. So really kudos to this child. Anyway, so let's move on to verse number 16, begging for the Lord's mercy. So now we asked for revealing his face, but we are further begging him. Okay, how are we begging him? That is verse number 16. Pushan ekakshe yamasurya prajapatya vyuharashmin samuta tejo yatte nipam kalyanatamam tatte pashyami yo asau purushah soham asmi. O maintainer of the universe, O primeval philosopher, O regulating principle, O destination of devotees, O well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your most auspicious form of bliss. You are the eternal Lord. I am also spiritual in nature, just as the sun and its rays are of the same qualitatively. It's actually a very nice verse that tells the Lord, oh my Lord, I'm your child, okay? I'm qualitatively one with you. Just like how the particles in the sun rays or the atoms in the sun rays cannot be separated from the sun rays. Qualitatively, I'm very much like you, just like how the drop of water, the qualities or the properties of a drop of water from the ocean is non-different from the entire ocean. Quantitatively, I'm insignificant, I'm tiny, I'm dependent, but still I have similar qualities. Every jiva is also such Chitan Ananda, right? So every jiva has similar qualities like the Lord, but the quantity is minuscule, okay? But we are tiny, that is the difference. So if I am like the Lord, if I have some qualities like the Lord, obviously, if the Lord desires to reveal himself, I will understand something about him, right? So that is the request. So please remove your effulgence. Again, he's coming to the same point. Please remove your effulgence. I want to see your form, your original form that is full of bliss. I know you're the eternal, you're spiritual, and I also have some qualities like you, so I'm capable of understanding you. So please reveal yourself to me. So this and another hidden fact in this verse is that see how the Lord is addressed. He's called as maintainer, philosopher, regulating principle, destination of devotees, well-wisher. Can all this be impersonal? It has to be a person, right? So if someone is your maintainer or sustainer, we already touched upon this. So if someone is maintaining you or giving you food, can it be some random air or light? No, it's a person. It is someone who cares for you. So this itself is very, very clear that this is not referring to some light or something like that. It is referring to a person. And here a beautiful picture is being put of Krishna sharing food with his cowherd friend boys. There is a nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that talks about, there's an expression that is being made. Oh, these cowherd boys, they must have done so many years of pious activities to be sitting with Krishna like friends and eating, morsels of food, and, they're eating with their left hand and they're feeding Krishna. What a great fortune. So this is the Supreme Lord. He's very, very reciprocative. And when Krishna was sitting with so many cowherd friends, every single friend was thinking, oh, Krishna is looking only at me. So that is possible only by the Supreme Lord. Similarly, when Krishna was dancing with the gopis in Vrindavan, every single gopi, felt. Of course, Krishna did. He did expand himself. But She felt exclusive rights with Krishna. Similarly, every jiva is very, very important to the Supreme Lord. And this was very nicely exhibited during Krishna's pastimes, that he is actually the maintainer, he's the philosopher, he's the regulating principle, he's the destination, he's the well-wisher. Yeah. So coming back to that example of the sun and the sun's rays. The molecules of the sun's rays are innumerable. Similarly, we jivas, we are also innumerable. But qualitatively, we are like those sun rays. So similarly, the Supreme Lord, he is in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan. From him comes the Brahma Jyoti. And that same Krishna, he can come here and enjoy pastimes in this material world, and he can give importance to each and every devotee. So, for us to understand the mercy of the Lord, for us to really understand who the Supreme Lord is, we should go beyond that impersonal light. We should learn to think beyond the impersonal. Because if we are just stuck in that idea that Lord is some light, or the, everything, you'd find people telling, I believe in God. I believe that there is a power beyond me. But nobody, not many people understand who that God is. There is not much understanding, clarity. There is no definition of God. Just like the examples we saw in the previous verse, right? There is not much clarity. Everyone thinks there is some light, there is some power. But here our Shastras are filled with examples of who that, not even examples, filled with clarity of telling you who that power is. So it is important for us not to get stuck, with the idea that, oh, there is just a power. No. Prabhupada says in many of his examples that, oh, electricity is there everywhere, but there is a person in that, powerhouse who's actually initiating things for you. So everything cannot be impersonal. Without God, where is the question of, without God, where is the question of his powers? Just like we have this beautiful example of, I want to show this, fire. See, fire has both heat and light, right? Heat and light are the energies of fire. So without, but we cannot say that if there is heat, there is fire. So what I'm trying to tell is that heat and light can be like the little jivas who are the energies of the Lord. Okay, we are a part and parcel of the Lord. We are like the energy of the Lord. But just because there is heat, it doesn't mean that there is fire. Meaning we are minuscule. We are dependent on the Lord. It is not that because we are there, the Lord is also, there in full. The Lord can be completely independent, and we are always dependent on him. So that is our condition with respect to the Lord. Okay, so there is more definition of Bhagavan. Prabhupada talks about who Bhagavan is. Bhagavan represents infinite knowledge, potency, energy, opulence, strength, and influence, all without a tinge of material inebriety. That means he's completely transcendental. And Bha means he's the guardian, the one who maintains. And Ga is guide. And Van is every living being lives in him, and he lives in every living being. This is the definition of Bhagavan. So this definition was given by Parashara Muni in Vishnu Puran. He very clearly says, actually, the supreme absolute truth, Bhagavan, can be identifiable only for Krishna, only for the Vishnu Tattva. You cannot call everyone Bhagavan technically, because Bhagavan means one who's complete in all six opulences. So he is the guide, he's a leader, he's merciful, he's the creator, he's the original cause, and he's the enjoyer. These are the different attributes of the Supreme Lord. How he's giving us guidance every day, okay, as the Paramatma. He's the perfect leader. When Krishna is present, the whole world would follow him. He's the perfect leader. He's very, very merciful. He creates, he's the original cause, and he enjoys his own self and he also enjoys with all the other devotees. So this is our Bhagavan, the supreme absolute truth. The jivas are his differentiated expansions. Because of the jivas, the entire phenomenal world is stirred into action and reaction. Because we desire to enjoy separate from Krishna, we are in this material world, and this entire material existence is for our sake, because we want to be those independent controllers. But actually, the ultimate controller is the Supreme Lord. And uh, and the definition of Brahman and Paramatma is that Brahman and Paramatma are actually secondary features of the Lord. Here we have a few analogies. One is the gold and the gold mine. So when we were talking about the jivas, we said we are all parts and parcels. We have similar qualities, right? So just like how there is a gold mine and there is a piece of gold in your earring or in your nose ring. The gold that is present in your earring is not different from the gold in the mine. Okay, they have similar properties, but the gold mine is so huge and the gold in your earring is so small. So we are like that little minuscule jiva, but Krishna is really, really big. Okay, so quantitatively we are different. The other one that I covered is heat and light. So fire's energy is heat and light. The jivas are compared to the energies of the Lord, separated energy. However, just because there is heat, it doesn't mean fire is there. Meaning, fire is much bigger. Okay, so this is compared to the Lord. But however, we jivas, though we are parts and parcels of the Lord, we are minuscule parts. We sometimes forget our Father, and we love to enjoy in this material world. The analogy given in Srimad Bhagavatam is that of a mother and a child. So when we are young, we are very dependent on our mother, and our father. But as we grow up, as we become independent, what happens? We forget. It is natural that we constantly do not feel that dependence. We forget all. We are not so affectionate. Actually, our affection reduces to a great extent. We are not dependent on them, or we do not have that level of affection or complete surrender. Rather, like when there is a small baby, that baby is completely dependent on the mother for milk, or completely dependent on the mother for his needs. But as we grow up, that dependency is not that. We want to enjoy separate. We become parents. We want to take care. We think we are ruling, right? So that is what happens even between us and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is our actual loving parent. But as we think, as time passes by, we think, oh, I can do this, I can be independent. And that's when we come here, we enjoy this material world, and we forget that our actual destination, our actual protector, our actual sustainer is that Supreme Lord. So it's only through devotional service that we can actually revive our consciousness. And how can devotional service be awakened? By hearing Krishna Katha, very simple process. Hear about the Lord to know more about Him. If you want to love someone, what do? You can remember your younger days. If you wanted to love someone, wanted to know more about that person, you would try to find everything about that person. You would go find out who his friends are, get information from his friends. What is this person doing? Which college? Where is she studying? All this you will try to find out. You'll find out more and more details. You try to look out for resources to get more information. So like that, through Krishna Katha, through hearing about the Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam, we revive our dormant love for Krishna. So that is our business, hearing about Krishna. The more we hear, the more we fall in love with Krishna and get to know him more, because he's a person, and then we can develop a relationship. However, philosophers, jnanis, yogis, they are depending on their own strength. They think they are independent. They're constantly seeking the mercy of the Lord. So through devotional service, understanding that Bhagavan is easy. But if we are completely independent and we think that I can endeavor, I will do it, I will figure it out, then we don't have much hope. Here is the beautiful story of one great devotee by the name Madhusudana Saraswati. It's a recent story. Madhusudana Saraswati, a great philosopher. You know what philosophy he was preaching? The Advaita philosophy. He is actually a great scholar. Even to this day, he's highly celebrated. He's known for his excellent works in the Advaita philosophy. He's a great preacher and very successful scholar. Finally, you know what he wrote? He said, if the yogis see the supreme truth as qualityless, inactive, and light alone, through their through their minds controlled by the practice of meditation, so be it. Let them see what they see. For us, however, may that divine blue light who wanders by the banks of the river Yamuna always dazzle our eyes with his beauty. So this is his final realization that all his life he was talking about the bright light, right? Brahman. All his life he spoke that philosophy. He spoke about the bright light Brahman. But then he says, actually, I see a blue light. I see a blue light running in the forests of Vrindavan. I think he is the absolute truth. For those who think that the absolute truth is completely qualityless, inactive, light, let them see what they are seeing. But however, I have realized that it is only this boy who's running in the banks of the river Yamuna who's dazzling my eyes. So like this is more of a recent example, but you all know how Shukadev Goswami got transformed, how the Kumaras got transformed. These are all examples of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's our business to take up devotional service and make this fervent request to the Lord, please show your actual face. Okay, so these are the two verses I wanted to cover, and I will summarize quickly. The first verse we saw today was an appeal to see the Lord. But if we want to see the Lord, is it possible by our endeavor? No, we are minuscule, right? A jiva can never be equal to the Lord. Unless and until the Lord sanctions, we cannot see him. And we made a small comparative analysis of the jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas. The jnanis, they are after the impersonal Brahman. The yogis, they are worried about Paramatma meditation and all that. And the bhaktas, they are only interested in seeing the actual form of the Lord. And then in the next verse is a continuation of the previous verse where the devotee is begging for the Lord's mercy. And there is clarity shown here that the Lord cannot be impersonal because he's the maintainer, he's the sustainer, he's taking care of us. And Bhagavan realization is actually the complete realization of the supreme absolute truth. Only Krishna can be the maintainer, not anyone else. Anyone else is only a secondary maintainer. And only when we develop pure devotional service can we really understand who Krishna is. So that's for today. We finished on time. And if you have any questions, comments, or realizations, you can share. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Prahladan Das from Las Vegas. Thank you very much for excellent class you gave with all those slides, which some young child made them. That's fantastic. I always wonder how to make these slides, and so it was real good, very nice. And as the flow of your discourse was going on, so many slokas were coming in my mind, which you were referring.
Yeah.
That was so. What I wanted to make about is this, vadanti tat vidastattam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sadyate. So the impersonalists, they put Brahma as the top and keep the Paramatma in the middle, and then Bhagavan as, the third step, like that, which is not very logical or not reasonable. Because if you see the sun in the sky, you cannot say that the sun is a product of sunshine. So that's what they make mistake. And I always wonder that, how foolish they I won't call them foolish, but that's not logical. Any child can understand that the sunshine is the product of sun, not the other way around. And they take it the other way around. And that's very offensive, and that's what Brahmaji has said. Ye anya arvindaks mukta manina swasta bhavat avisuddha aruhya krachne param palam patantyada anadruch yusmadangre. They have another, they kind of, and that's a root disease. Everyone has some enviousness about Lord Krishna. That's why we are here in this material world. But these guys, they're stubborn. they cannot understand that, there is higher power and I'm nothing. That they never understand, like that. Also, you were mentioning about, that Lord Krishna's dazzling face, and we cannot see him, but we have to request him, doing all this Navadha Bhakti. And Bhagavan Krishna also saying in 7th chapter, Naham Prakasa Sarvasya Yogmaya Samavrita. So he is Yogmaya, Bhakti is Yogmaya. And if you go through her channel, he will reveal her his face. Like Prabhupada Saraswati, you said that he was, and then he says, Vansi Vibhushita Karanda Nirdabhat Visambara Bimba Falada will start. He's the one who wrote that after visiting, realizing that Brahma is not all. That's so good. I'm all speaking from His Holiness Radha Govind Swami's, because I hear his lectures so so he gives such a nice, fluent and lucid this thing like that. Also, you were mentioning about the one Chetan and all small Chetans, like the sun and the photons, the particles. Nityo Nityam Chetanas Chetanam Eko Bhavanam Yovidhati Kama. So all this is what's coming in my head, and I was so floating in bliss actually. So it was so good.
Nice, Prabhu. When you make these connections and give those verses, it really, I think everyone get excited.
These are real Suddha Sattva we are experiencing despite being in this three modes material nature. So thank you very much, and thanks for allowing me to speak. And Mataji, now only one session remaining for this.
For Isopanishad, then we are thinking, because we did Isopanishad, we did Nectar of Instruction as well. So we are thinking next would be like chapter-wise summaries of Srimad Bhagavatam, because that will be like not really verse by verse, but chapter-wise, so that you understand complete thing of Bhagavatam.
Also, I was referring to this booklet. I don't know whether you know that. Yes, this Gaurang Das Prabhuji. You have that? Yeah. He has done an excellent job of, putting everything so systematically. Even he has done for 9 cantos of Bhagavatam. So other day I was talking to him on Zoom only, on our group only. I was asking him when he's going to compile the 10th, 11th, 12th, like that.
I know 10th is such a big project because it's such a
90 chapters.
Such a big part of Bhagavatam. And 12th is most of Bhagavatam.
That's right. Yeah, but it was so good. It was so good. And I again thank you, Mataji, for allowing me to speak. Haribol.
Oh, yes. No, it's such a fortune that we can hear you speak, Prabhu, and that when you give all the verses, and it's like for us, it's such a nice way to remember and relish, and again, go through the entire thing in our mind and enjoy
the slokas and all these things. They themselves, Lord Krishna. So when we speak like that and come in touch with those vibrations, they are all transcendental. So that's how. I have a small group here in Las Vegas where we meet Sundays and Thursdays for discussing Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita like that. That's how I keep in touch with all this, and it gives me good pleasure like that. So I hope this program continues so that we can participate in that. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I love the class very much, and how you told the example about that sannyasi who was preaching, and the Advaita philosophy, and the example of mother and child. That when we're done with the mother, we're gone. Oh, bye bye. We're gone. We're ourselves independent. And the example of fire, that wherever heat is there, it doesn't mean that fire is there. The example of gold mine, that in the earring, very little gold is there, but in the actual gold mine, so much gold is there. So like that, we're not in quality, we're same, but in quantity, we're different. So gold mine is like Krishna, and the gold in our ear is like the jiva. Jiva is very small. It's full in quantity. And the example of many other examples. Thank you very much, Mataji.
I can't believe you're still a Damodar kid. You are like an adult, yeah. How old are you, Sudevi?
6.5, Mataji.
6.5, Mataji.
No,
She always says 6.5, but she's not 6.5.
No, Mataji, I'm 6.5 only.
believe you. You're amazing. Thank you for your association.
My question is that in the reports, Prabhupada says that the Brahmajyoti, it spreads in the spiritual world and the material world. So in the material world, why is it needed sun and moon?
No. Brahmajyoti is not spread in the material world, dear. In the spiritual world, only in the spiritual sky. For the material world, we need sun and moon. Did that make sense? Or maybe I just said two things continuously. First, I told about Mahavishnu lying and material universe is coming, and then on top is there the Brahmajyoti is. It is beyond this universe. Okay?
Mataji, in the page 115, it's saying that, in other words, the Supreme Brahman effulgence spreads throughout both the material world and spiritual skies. Material and spiritual skies.
So actually the Brahmajyoti is beyond the material universe, but the effulgence from the Brahmajyoti is borrowed, or rather it is reflected by the sun and the moon.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for the beautiful class and nice realizations by Prahladananda Prabhu and also our Sudevi. Very beautiful. When they speak, you feel like all this class is summarized very nicely. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. I wanted to know whether this class has small kids also who are participating. I'm wondering, because this is such a high philosophy, how they
They participate in all the evening classes. They come for Nectar of Instruction, Isopanishad, any evening class.
Wow. This must be very, Yog Chalit Manas children of the sixth chapter Bhagavan prescribed. They must be very highly elevated souls.
Yes, of course. They finish there are 3 different children classes. One is Damodara, which is 2 to 5, 6 years old. Yeah. Then 7 to 10 is Govinda, and then 11 class is Madhava. So they do, and then there's Madhava Youth as well. So they attend all the classes, and then they come for the adult classes also. And you would find all these kids in all the classes.
This is wonderful, because such a high philosophy, they are exposed at such a young age. That proves that they must have assimilated so many things in previous lives.
And I've seen that the questions they ask are the most difficult to answer.
Yeah, that's right. This is wonderful. Very good, And this will be the great preachers, when they will age and they will kind of preach to so many people with such conviction, So this is really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can I ask something?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I heard about you in the morning class from the Prabhuji. So I know little about you. So forgive me or pardon me if I'm asking something wrong. I wanted to know 2 things. One thing is that when you said that Krishna is the gold mine and we are the gold particles. So when as devotee, we love Krishna, or love is already in there in us, it's already inborn because it's Krishna's love. So why is it that we are not able to love everybody in the same essence as we love Krishna. Why there is a different, I don't know how to explain this, but yes, it's like if I, for example, if I'm loving my daughter as Krishna, because that's also a gold particle from the gold mine, so the love should be same, right? If I'm loving Krishna, the love towards her also should be the same, not towards her body or the mind. If is that the case, then my neighbor's child is also the particle of the gold mine, maybe from different country, maybe from different state, different language, different, a journey of that spirit soul. Why it is not possible for us to have that divine love which we have for Lord Krishna, the gold mine? And we know that all these are particles of Lord Krishna himself, from the gold particle. So why there is a differentiation in that love? And then we say that we love Krishna.
You're right. It's a good question, good observation, and there's a lot of hypocrisy within us. That is the blatant truth. Bhagavad Gita says, Pandita Samadarshana, one who's really learned would see everyone the same, right? Vidya Vinayastani Brahmani Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. That is the ideal case of Krishna consciousness. If you are really pure in heart and if you have really developed love in God, you should be able to see God's presence in every living entity and love all entities equally. That is a Pandita. That is a person who's got Samadrishti. That is where we are. That is our goal. Okay, that's where we are trying to achieve. But in our conditioned state of mind, all our relationships are limited to bodily attachments. And even when we try to bring Krishna in the center, we try to bring Krishna in the center only for our family. Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
This child is a gift of Krishna, given by Krishna to me. There also me. Okay? All about me.
Yeah, that's true. So that was my one question. Second question is that
flawed. Now here is the thing. Our scriptures and the process of Krishna consciousness is fantastic. It's perfect. But the people who practice it, we are all trying. We're not perfect. We have so many coverings to let go of. But
today morning, Prabhuji said, Prabhuji who gave Bhagavatam class and who was talking about you also in the class. So he said that when I asked my question, he told me that when you identify yourself as Asha, this body and mind, you will get hurt when somebody criticizes you or somebody, shuns you or tells you that why are you in ISKCON, or why are you doing the Krishna consciousness, what do you gain? So there will be obstacles, but only when you identify yourself as this body and mind. When you understand that you are from that abode and you are the part of that abode, then nothing will affect you, nothing will bother you. So you are already that. The ignorance that you have, the cloud of ignorance that you have, if that goes off, then you are that only, part of that, right? So then when we are in Krishna consciousness, the first thing that we have to understand is this. Then we don't have to, no obstacles, nothing, as today Prabhuji said, nothing will be bothering you because you know the fact. It's like you're going for an exam, this is the answer and this should be the answer. You're not going to write some other answer in the exam because if you write, you will fail. Right. So you wouldn't go to the exam and say, because I am in materialistic world and because I have the memory loss or because I didn't study well, so I might do wrong, but you know the answer. So it's, I don't know, I'm not saying that, I told you, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's just the thing, so I had this question one. Second question is that when you said about the train, okay, when we are a baby, an infant baby, if the infant baby is going into the train in the lap of the mother or the father, the infant doesn't recognize the form, name, or the body or anything about the father or mother. that this is my father, this is my mother, this is train, this is this. Nothing the infant knows. The infant is just getting into the train in the hands of the mother or the father. Only when the infant, or in simple words, like if the infant is at home also, the newborn baby doesn't know that this is my father by name or form. Yeah, that is just in essence that bondage with mother has from the womb itself, which is again God's Leela, so that only the baby recognizes that this is the mother. Okay. When the baby grows 2 years old, I think I'm not wrong, if I'm not wrong, 2 years old, that's when my daughter also started recognizing me as a mother, my name, my form, and everything. So when we are in this body as so and so, okay, now even if we are from the gold mine, still we have this body for some reasons about the karma. So we are in this body, so we are able to recognize the form. This is Lord Krishna. In front of us, there is a deity. We are recognizing. But when the body goes away, that means the spirit soul leaves this body, then the spirit soul goes back to its abode, wherever it has to go. So it does not recognize the form because we don't have this form, right? The senses or nothing. There is only the essence. So at least by essence, the spirit soul will understand that this is my father. The Lord Krishna is my father. You understand my question? Like, I'm here now. Now, literally in the Nectar of Devotion, there is a page where they mention Lord Chaitanya, a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. His name was Koli Vesha Sridhara. Yeah. And he was very poor. So when Lord Chaitanya came to him, in front of him, appeared in front of him, asked for, whatever he requires, he said that he was quite happy in the present position and he wanted nothing. He just wanted to gain that unflinching faith and devotion onto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. So my question is that when we are in this body, when we know that we pure devotion is not asking for even to reveal the form or even to get liberation, because the spirit soul is already liberated, because it is a part of Godhead. We are in this body as a human. So they say that the pure devotee, in the book Nectar of Devotion, it's clearly mentioned that Lord Chaitanya, when he came, they didn't ask for anything, his devotee. So your pure devotion is that where you don't even ask for liberation, where you ask nothing from Lord. Let Lord give whatever he wishes to give. You are okay in this situation. But I want an unclenching faith at his lotus feet. And that is the only thing I require. Okay, now that also your grace, whatever you give, how much ever you give, it's your wish. But that should be the pure devotion. That is what is written in the book. So that is why I asked that when we are in this body, we ask so many things to God. So the soul, that is the spirit soul, who is already the part of that gold mine, already knows that this is what it is. Yeah. So it doesn't have to ask anything. That is why they say, right, the pure devotee doesn't ask for anything, because that is what is pure devotion. You don't need anything, but you need that unclenching faith. But once you leave this body, then you don't recognize this form with deity and everything. You just go back to the Godhead. So why is it like that? When the spirit soul is already the same part of that gold mine, it is pure nature, is bliss, Satchitananda. Why is it not able to see the Lord? Yes, because of the karmas. But then we just sit like this, sit like this. So it is the body, it is not the body mind, but it is the spirit soul who wants to see the Lord, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So
sorry, but I went too detail. I'm so sorry. Sorry, my question is wrong. Please forgive me.
No, come on. No, I'm trying to assess and trying to answer. I hope I give a decent answer. So the point is, if I'm a spirit soul and I'm such a God, then I should already know that, okay, I'm a part and parcel of God and I should be all pure. And why all this confusion in the first place, right? So the idea here is that, so we are all spirit souls, but we are all conditioned in this material universe. We are separated parts and parcels of Krishna. We are also his energy, but we are called as Tatastha Shakti. That means we are in the shoreline. Okay, Tatastha. So we choose either to associate with the spiritual or with the material. So when we are in the material world, we get covered. Okay, so just like so there is dust that is accumulated on the mirror. When there is dust accumulated on the mirror, okay, you have a house and you've not used that house for a long time. There is a mirror in a bungalow and dust is accumulated on the mirror. What happens? Can you see a clear reflection? You cannot. But once you start wiping down the dust, what happens? You see a clear reflection. So here in this material world, if we have taken this, we are in a conditioned state. We have so many impressions and so many conditionings in this world, so many identifications. So all that is like a dust that is covered up. Okay, through the process of chanting or executing bhakti or by hearing about the Lord, slowly you're cleaning that. You're wiping it layer by layer. You're removing all that dust. Then the reflection. Then your actual identity is revealed. That's when you become a pure devotee. So at that time, you realize who you are, who is Krishna. You see everyone in equal light, and then you can. So now we are in the stage where there is a lot of accumulation of dust. We're trying to clean. We clean every day. Sometimes in India, you know, right? Like dust accumulates every day. So every day you have to wipe down the surfaces. So like that, we chant every day morning. We keep cleaning, we keep cleaning. But then at one point, our cleanse becomes so thorough that we can see that reflection clearly and we can, see our true identity and become a pure devotee. Okay, so that is the process. Now, did that help?
So what they said is right in the nectar of devotion, that a pure devotee, he would say that I am happy in this present position and want only to gain the unflinching faith and devotion onto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya.
Correct. That is real devotion. Lalananda Prabhu, do you want to add something?
I'm asking whether we have time, if time permits only. Then
yeah. Sure, Asha Mataji would love to hear.
Yeah. So, I was the slok which was coming in my mind is the 7th chapter. It says, Ichadve samuttena dvandva mohena bharata. So, we all come here because of the original dves we have for Lord Krishna, because of that minute independence he has given us to love him. But instead of loving him, we misuse that and have dves for him. That's why we come here. And then when we come here, we are all dvesi of others because we are competing for max pleasure here. And anyone, who helps us is our friend. Who obstructs is dves. So rag and dves. These are all created by Brahma is in the second chapter, second is like that. So we all come here, and why I love my child and not the neighbors like that? I also envy my child, but it is very
Correct. You're right. Yes.
Right. So that's the reason when he grows up and there is some conflict, they go to court, the father and son. That is seen so many places. So the element of dves is inbuilt when you are a Kshara Jiva condition here. Why? Because of the original, enviousness towards Lord Krishna. And the whole process of bhakti is to wipe this out. As you were saying, the layers are there. And then there is a Rusabdev Maharaj slok, which is there, says, Jada Manohraday Granthirasya Karmanubandha Drad Aslathet. That Granthi, that's where when it becomes loose, that's where we are now trying to be able to go to the spiritual world. Otherwise, as Mataji was saying, when you leave this body, you are not leaving the spirit soul alone. It goes with the subtle body. And that subtle body, mind, intelligence, ego have already decided which body you're going to take. Unless it's completely Krishnized, the mind, intelligence, ego, if it is completely Krishnized, then it can take you there. Otherwise, we'll all rotate here in the process of cleaning like that. That was my understanding. I just thought of putting that. Thank you for allowing this.
Oh my God. Again coming down. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. No, I was just telling Prabhuji again coming down. Can't even think about it. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for the nice question. And thank you, Prabhu, for such a beautiful answer. Anyone else?
Good, because we are having, these discussions, and Lord Krishna says, Parasparam. I'm getting this look. Bodhyanta Parasparam. So this is real good, and I really appreciate your efforts in doing this satsang for all of us.
Really, really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You said it's, yeah. Yes, Bodhyanta Parasparam is the beauty of this conference.
Yeah, that's what it is, Anyone who thinks that, he knows, he doesn't know. That's what Radha Swami says. Anyone who knows, he thinks that he knows, he doesn't know. But anyone who thinks that I do not know, he will catch new knowledge from others. Even some, I practice as a physician, but I learned so many things from nurses, because they are more experienced when you are a young person. You don't know much about like that. So that's the attitude we should have in having this knowledge, especially of bhakti knowledge. So that's what I feel. And questions, people who ask questions, that's the best thing, because three parties, as said in Bhagavatam, they benefit: hearer, the one who asks, and the one who answers. Everyone is enriched with these interactions.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very, very.
Very good.
Very good. Anyone else would like to add anything or ask anything? I know it's 9:45, but anyone else? Okay, so we can end here, and thank you all for your attendance and participation. We'll have a final session on Sri Isopanishad next week by Her Grace Kirtidasundari Mataji, and then we'll wind up and hopefully move on to Srimad Bhagavatam summaries. So, Vinita Mataji, shall we end?
Yeah, yes, Mataji, we can end the call. Thank you so much for such a nice realizations and beautiful class. I would like to offer my obeisances to Mataji and all the Vaishnavas summoned on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah ananta koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Her Grace Preethivilasini Mataji ki jai.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Hari Bol, blessing
Hari Bol.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
nice to hear your voice.
Thank you,
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Geeta Mataji.